What's that?
Well,
You have to claim that on that form that we gave
that's
you
the
last
worst
time.
thing.
Every day is
Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the, what date is it? June 16th board meeting of the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District. The record reflects that all board members are here with the exception of board member Jason Walker. I'm assuming we don't have any comments on closed session items, so with that, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay, welcome back to the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District Board meeting on June 16th, 2026. All board members are present with the exception of Board Member Jason Walker. If you will please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And salute pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's go down this list. All right, so reporting from closed session. In the matter of item 3.11, the Board of Trustees voted 4-0 to deny the interdistrict appeal of student number 2025-12. And then we will move on to public comment, but something tells me we don't have any public comment today. We do not in this very packed room. So we will move on to reports.
Does someone else want to go first tonight? Or do you want me to go first?
You're it.
Okay.
Yay. Next time we'll do potluck. We'll just like take a name.
Yes.
That'd be actually fun.
That would be cool.
Yes. I don't have much to share other than we are already planning for the end of July and the beginning of August training for every staff member in the district. So we've been meeting away and planning, so that is going well. And we also had about, I would say 45 staff already come the very first day they were off to start their math training. So that was exciting. And 100% of the people that attended the training had 100% like favorable the end of the training and the program, and they were really excited about it. And many of the people were not people that had piloted, so that was exciting that they were so excited to learn about the new math and came in that very first day. They're very motivated. So that's exciting. And I just wanted to say thank you for a successful year. It's been a good year. A lot of good work and hard work has been done, and to help our students and our staff and our parents grow and learn and build capacity. And I just am thankful for my team and for all of you here. It's been a good year.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. Just a few quick updates from my departments. Last Friday, we welcomed 17 of our new, out of the 28 of newly hired certificated staff in an orientation last Friday. We did let them know that they were an elite group, that we had over 250 applications for those positions. So
Wow.
quite the highly desirable place to work, evident by that. One of the great things we do at these orientations is every orientation, all the district office administrators get an invite to come, and we all go in as a big group, and they get to see that we're collaborative, we work together, we introduce ourselves to give them a little personal tidbit about us and the district, to just give them a good connection moving into the district. So and it was great to hear a little bit about our new employees. So that's exciting. We have more orientations to go, and we still have a few more positions to fill. So confident that we're going to get there by August. It's always fun to set goals, and in working in technology and working with Brian in technology, we had a goal this year to decrease the amount of broken and lost Chromebooks that start with 6th graders and then we collect them when they're 8th graders. And so we were experiencing about a 10% loss due to breakage and just lost. And so we set out to change that. And one of the goals we had this year was to send out on-site repair. So one of our techs every week starting in November was on a middle school site doing on-site repair, just like you would at the mall. We ended up repairing 368 Chromebooks
Oh, that's great.
this year, and we had a good success with our goal. So we had Creekview returned 90% of their 8th grade Chromebooks. So out of the 96, 87 were returned. And Silverado, they returned 95%, 95.43%. They returned 313 Chromebooks out of their 328, and Crossing, for which Brian awarded the Golden Chromebook to Antelope Crossing, they returned 95.64% of their Chromebooks. So they returned 307 out of 321. So we had about a 95% return rate, which then they go recycle back to next year's 6th graders coming up. So anyway, it's just neat to see to have a goal and work toward it and make improvements. So that was great. Good job on the technology department there. And then as I stated before, it's a busy time for FMOT. I just want to update you on a couple things that are going on. Paint at Quail Glen is totally finished. If you ever over there drive by, it looks great. Striping at Creekview Ranch is finished. At Olive Grove, we are doing the whole redo of the asphalt. Asphalt fill and crack fill is complete, and the seal is complete, and striping over there in the next few days. We're doing some concrete work at Silverado, filling in some of the cut-throughs. I've always said that when a school's built, there should be no sidewalks built until you see where the kids go. So we're kind of rectifying some of that now. And so that's exciting over there. That's going to be helpful. Next month, we're going to move on to Antelope Crossing. We're going to fix the asphalt over there and the bus turnout and on the blacktop with new sealing and striping over there as well. And then strategic fencing material is due to arrive this week for strategic fencing at Silverado, Coyote Ridge, Olive Grove, and Barrett Ranch. And so we should start to construct those fencing systems later next week and into July. So, anyway.
Lots of good stuff.
I don't think I have that much to share. It has been a great year, so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for all of the support that everybody has given me and the openness. It's been a wonderful first year here. I'm so grateful to be here. Everybody has been wonderful, and it has been a great team environment to be in. We are thankful that the budget is just about done after tonight. It'll be nice to push the button and put that to bed and send it off to the county and go live with it tomorrow. It's been a big undertaking. And get the negotiations pieces that we have in place. So once we're done with that, we'll take a quick little couple-day break, and then we'll start rolling into year-end close. My team will get busy with that, and then getting all of the salary schedules and all of that kind of stuff updated to start the new year. So we'll be up and running, trying to get the new year started and close the books, because as you know, that takes us a couple of months to do. So we'll be still busy, but it'll be nice to start that new page. And I'm just thankful that my team is fully staffed right now, and that we're looking forward to the new year. So thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Tracy. Hello.
So it has been a good year, and I always think of a school year as my year. Most people go from January to January, but being in education for so long, all my calendars started in July. So it is going to be a new year. So I want to first of all, show appreciation, or just say appreciation to the staff for all the work that's been put into, all the documents that are on the agenda for today. It's quite a heavy lift. And I just appreciate the time. I appreciate Sarah for providing me with copies of it, because I do like to highlight and take notes and read it and review it. So that was very sweet of her to make sure that I was able to do that. With that being said, I've been reading since about Friday because there's over 1,000 pages of documents and information. And so I apologize to my colleagues and to staff if I do appear to be a little disorganized and I might have questions or things that could have been done through email or the phone call. But when I finished today at 4 o'clock, I didn't have the time to kind of synthesize my notes. But I do think it is my responsibility as a board member to look at things and to if there are questions or themes or ideas, make sure that I'm asking them and letting the public know that we are doing our responsibility and our duty. So just bear with me tonight. I apologize in advance, and thank you so much to all of our staff for everything that they've done throughout this year. I mean, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to just another school year and maintaining our focus on students and teaching and learning.
Good job, Tracy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to last year, and there was so much uncertainty at this point last year, and it does feel really good to feel the sense of relief that this year was executed well, led extremely well by our two new additions there, and our two veteran cabinet members holding down the fort. We're thankful everyone's here to celebrate the end of the year across all the tables, and so a lot to be grateful for. Just, for the people in this room, and obviously all the work that goes on in the front lines. It's nice to not see any principals in here tonight because they need to kick up their feet while they can and enjoy hopefully the fruit of their labor and some peace and quiet with their families this summer. So, it's amazing to see what a complex system this is, and I just appreciate all of y'all's support for making such a complex system look like it's running, without any effort. Just no smoke, no grinding, no friction. It just cranks along beautifully, and I think the kids are the ones who are the big winners in that for our community. So thank you all very much, and hope you all have a little break too. Enjoy yourselves, because I realize this never stops. Now I realize this never stops going. And so we excited to reconvene in August and get the next year kicked off.
It's funny when you say it never stops. When Christy was talking, I thought, well, we'll be sending in that budget, but it's like, we're just gonna keep going right away. John, did you have anything you wanna?
Yeah, things I want to kind of repeat what everybody else said. I'm glad everything, we're very thankful to have our new employees here, Cliff and Christy and Renee actually, and also Sarah and everybody. And I'm thankful and relieved, to be honest with you. So it's all worked out really well. And that's, I was really happy about this year. Thank you for that. A couple comments I want to make. First of all, on the consent agenda, I want to thank John and Tracy Pittman for their donation of $10,000 to the visual arts and performing arts for the district. Tracy Pittman was here for over 25 years as a trustee. And I thought that was very kind of them to do that, so I just want to acknowledge that. Secondly, I had my HOA meeting last night, and coincidentally, the subject of e-bikes came up about how about when school gets out of Creekview Ranch on Cocriolo, there's been several close accidents. We were all complaining about it during the meeting and stuff like that. And just kind of piggybacking on an email I think we got from one of the teachers at Creekview Ranch. And I did talk to trustee at Rockland about what they did regarding the e-bike situation. And I don't look at it as a situation where there's a few bad riders ruining it for all the rest. I look at it as a situation where I've never seen an e-bike rider obeying a traffic law in my life out of about hundreds on Cocriolo on the bike path. There's a stop sign, I've never seen them even slow down. So I'm hoping we get improvements. We've had a couple near serious collisions, and that was brought up to me last night, including from my daughter, from me, from our neighbors. There's a buzz through there and don't slow down at all. So I'm hoping we can continue with the PSAs and making sure that we don't have to take more strict measures and that people could drive a little more safely. And last, I want to thank Sarah and Shay and Dee Pinelli for meeting with me regarding the math curriculum. I definitely was set in my mind, and I think we all agree that we need to, as part of the basic education, the children need to know the times tables, right? The key is how to get there. And I grew up, as I think all of us have, with this called the drill and kill method, I guess it is, where you sit there, you have 1 minute to do it, and you don't do it, and I went to recess. I was lucky. I was good at math. Other people aren't, and so. But I did read quite a few papers and talked to. Well, I read one paper, I guess, not quite a few, and also talked to Sarah and Shay and looked through the curriculum. And I am thrilled about the new math curriculum. It is such an improvement from what my daughters went through, and as Sarah said, 100% of the teachers are really happy with it too. It's more accessible. It's more appealing to the kids, and it actually does keep track of the actual progress they make regarding times tables. And so hopefully that's part of the great education, general education. So I'm very happy about that. And that's it.
Awesome. I don't have too much to add because everyone always says everything just perfectly, but it has been a great year with some really great additions to the board and staff. And it's just been nice to see us all work together so collaboratively, So I'm grateful for that. Oh, I was gonna say something about the e-bikes and the scooters and stuff. I will also say bicyclists do not stop either. They do not, because
Some of them text at the same time.
I know, and it drives me crazy. So there have been near misses everywhere. They just go and they pretend that you're not there. So tickets for everyone. And according to that,
So we could
New
talk,
policy.
maybe we could talk about that next fall and see
I don't know
Yeah.
what we can do, but something should be done.
So that's it, we can hear that
Okay.
discussion. Yeah, Rockland did do some stuff, just let you know.
Well, let's move on to,
What about Myron?
oh, I'm so sorry, Cliff. Darn, I was really trying to get through this meeting.
Prepared a speech?
Alright.
No,
Okay,
no,
my
I just
apologies.
echoing some of what, you know.
You're so quiet, I forgot you were there.
Sorry, okay. Be louder. No, I was reflecting, you know, it was about a year ago, last Friday technically, but when I was here for my approval, and it's, you know, caused me to reflect on the year, and I remember walking in and meeting Michelle for my first interview, and we were chatting about the district and what she thought about it and everything, so I was just thinking it's crazy, you know, where we're at now, and echoing some of what was said. I really feel like we've grown a lot as a, you know, governing and leadership team, and just credit everyone's willingness to learn and to get better and to do what we can as a team to set the tone and example for leadership in the district. And I'm proud of the things we've done this year. And Shay gave me a little sneak peek earlier of some of the early results from our state testing. When we do well in the state testing, we say it's a good measure, and we like to highlight it. So early returns are looking very positive. So I'm eager to see, you know, once we get all of them in, and then obviously as well with our math curriculum, how things can improve. So I know that's ultimately what we're all here for, is to help our students learn and achieve at the highest rates they can. So I'm excited to kind of turn our focus on that as we move forward. I just wanted to thank Sarah and Christy and Beth for putting the budget together, the LCAP. Those are big tasks. They're year-long and never-ending tasks. You end with one phase, and I know Christy might flip by that slide again. It's a cycle, it just keeps going. So I don't know if at any point it ever feels like it's done, because there's possible changes, and then the legislature made some changes to the governor's budget. Now they gotta figure that out. So, and then the state likes to pay us, like, you know, not always on time. So it's just, these things just kind of go and go and go. So a lot of work went on behind the scenes and with the public and with parents and staff, and the school plans as well. Lots of site involvement, staff, parents, teachers, principals, so just a lot of work in there. It's all culminating here. And our employee agreements that you're gonna see, our employment agreements you'll see later, a lot of work going on behind the scenes to get those to where we're at. I know we're excited to kind of tie a bow a little bit in this year, and then we'll be closed for just over a week around the 250th anniversary of our country. And then we'll be back before you know it. So just wanted to thank everyone, Renee and her team, for making our schools look good, making me look good. And it's great, there's so many great things to be able to highlight and pick from, so. I guess that's it. So, and thanks to Sarah for making me look good too.
Yes, we couldn't, things would not run as smoothly without the both of you, so thank you also. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. I'm assuming everyone has had a chance to look at it, nothing needs to be pulled. I do want to also, you know, just, I think all of us are in agreement about the gift from the Pittmans. That was incredibly generous, so thank you. But other than that, do we have any other comments, or does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Balcom and a second by Board Member Fensky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's 4-0. We will move on to a very long list of action items. Starting with 7.1.
Well, I think I have the first 3 action items, so I will not prolong the items. The first up, Cliff discussed just momentarily there, are the single plans for student achievement from each of the school sites. Annually, the school site council and the principal are in charge of developing a school plan based on a needs assessment of the school site, which they collect a variety of data, which you saw in the school plans, and then design their goals and actions around that data to increase student achievement and engagement. And on behalf of the principals, who are not here tonight, they didn't need to come to this one for these, I am presenting the school plans for approval that will be implemented in August when we return from break.
It's very quiet. Does anyone want to say anything?
I will try to answer as many questions as I can for
I see
the
Tracy's ready. Do you have
principals.
questions, Tracy?
But
My
if-
hand is as well, I think.
No, go ahead.
You know, first of all, I mean, this is a lot of work, the school plans are for the school site councils, the English language advisory committees, the leadership teams, the grade level teams, district staff. And they provide a lot of very important input to, you know, demonstrate teaching and learning to our schools. In reading all the school plans, I was just reminded, again, one more time, and it was nice to see that it in, you know, broad perspective of one of the important pieces of our district is just our diversity. And you can, you know, just, for example, looking at, you know, particular individual schools, you know, we have one school that has, you know, 548 students, and 50% of those students are socioeconomically disadvantaged, meaning that 288 of the students out of the 548 are socioeconomically disadvantaged. 30% of the students, or 137 of them, are English language learners. So to be able to just look at those numbers one more time, I think is very important for me to be reminded of the decisions I make and the students that I'm serving. Likewise, there's another school that has 532 students with only 29% of the students, or 158 students, who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, and 4% are English language learners, or 22 students. So we have a very diverse district, we have a very diverse student community, and it's documents like this that just help put that in perspective and remind us of who we're serving and the student needs. So that was just one of the, you know, the unique features that I noticed right away when I was looking at it. I appreciated hearing about the percentage of students that made growth in their Tier 3 interventions. Many of the schools reported on that because they spend so much time and energy in their collaborative conferences and looking at student data. So to see that 81% of the students in Tier 3 made growth, you know, is kudos to our staff for taking the time and the energy and noticing those students. I noticed other schools had released time for vertical articulation with either a high school and elementary school, so that they were looking at the students who were leaving as well as the students they were receiving. I really appreciated a school that had specifically broken down the percentage rate for our parent and staff surveys, because at first glance, I'm not sure if it was in all of the documents, whether or not the percentage rate, and at first glance you can look at some of those things and you're like, wow, 100% of the parents think that the school's safe. However, when you look at maybe only 89% parents return the survey out of a student population that's much larger than that, then that made me kind of second look at things, or just ask, is there another way? Because that's one of our goals as a board members, how do we get two-way correspondence or two-way communication? So 27 parents returned a survey out of a school that has, you know, quite a large population. Are we doing everything we can to make sure we're getting the parent perspective, or if only 17 staff members returned a survey, So I really appreciated a school that had that kind of on every single statement. You know, here's the data, but it may not be reflective, take it with it. Because it helped remind me, and it might help remind a school site council member or somebody else that they're looking at it. Maybe we can dig a little deeper, or maybe we just need to, you know, it might be the 5 parents that are on the PTA. So I'm always that advocate for families that they're socioeconomically disadvantaged or English language learners and wanting to know how we can reach them. Academic achievement was off the charts in some of our schools, and just super proud and looking at the academic achievement in English language arts and math. Some of our schools had summer bridge programs that they were purchasing through their school plans or with their school site councils for students to work on during the summer. I didn't notice that in all of our schools, how our students who were being supported during the summer. I appreciated partnerships with Roseville Police Department. I appreciated a focus on, you know, conflict managers as part of school climate surveys. And I also noticed academic growth for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students in some of our schools that were far exceeding standards. So that was exciting to look at. I had a couple other things, just maybe questions or considerations. It might be helpful, there were some plans where the charts, I'm not sure if they understood the question about bullying, the percentage of kids being bullied. It's not 80%, and one of the questions are 88% are being bullied, they're not being bullied. So just, that could be confusing to parents if they look at that. It's nice to have current board goals listed as part of their goals for next year, as opposed to our previous goals, and I know we just did those recently. I found it interesting that there were some schools that had perhaps 94% of the students responded positively to a survey, but yet the goal was still 90% of the students would meet. So, you know, maybe perhaps looking at even if we have 94% of our students that feel safe, it's okay to say 96% the following year will feel safe, rather than just putting a standard goal of 90% for many areas. I was curious about the Stop It program because that was used as a response for bullying. I've just never seen it or watched it, and that was used. And just overall, I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm so impressed and so pleased with all of the hard work that our staff put towards the school plans, all of the hard work that our community members do, and I just wanted to say that I'm grateful for them. Just a couple things to think about for the following years.
Just to answer your question really quick about Stop It, that's our online bullying reporting system. And so it's online for each of the school sites, and it's an anonymous reporting system that we've used for several years, and students, parents, community members can get on and report something, and it goes to Jim and Megan. And then if there's a significant at-risk type alert, it also goes to the PD, and the PD calls us and all the things, so.
And again, I'm just always, I've got that analytical mind, so I'm always curious as to how often it's used. Just like when I was looking at our, you know, our parent surveys and our student surveys and our staff surveys, you know, how many people respond and how often is something like that used. And so thanks for explaining that, I appreciate that.
A lot.
I don't have any questions either.
There's no other questions, then the recommendation is that we move forward with approving all 9 school plans tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve all 9 school plans.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Board Member Fenske, second by Board Member Falcom, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to 7.2, the LCAP.
Next one's mine too. So annually, as you know, as we had the hearing last Thursday, we submit the LCAP for approval along with the budget. Christy and I, as you know, work hand in hand to develop all of these things and align the funding to our action Transactions and Services, and tonight we are asking for final approval for the LCAP. Pending that approval, or I should say, should it be approved tonight, tomorrow morning, we will send it to the county, and then it goes to the county board. As soon as it is approved by the county board, which we don't anticipate it won't, because we do all the background work beforehand, then we will upload it to the California dashboard website, where we're able to access the LCAPs directly there, and then to our website as well.
Any questions, any comments? I think we probably had most of them answered last week.
Yep, I make a motion to approve local control accountability plan, LCAP, 2024-2027, action item 7.2.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Board Member Haynes, a second by Board Member Fenske. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We shall move on to 7.3, the consolidated application.
My third item tonight is the consolidated application, or what we refer to as the CONAP, lovingly. And this is an application which comes in 2 phases. So we generally have a winter and a spring phase. The spring release for the CONAP documents are an initiation to participate in our categorically funded programs, so Title I, Title III, Title IV, and then we have homeless education requirements as well. First, I'd like, before we move forward with this, I'd like to thank our team, because this also takes a lot of people collaborating and working together. So I would like to thank Beth and Monica from Business Services, and then my assistant Erica. The 3 of them go round and round and share data and this and that, and answer all the questions together and come up with our application with all the accurate and documented information. So I'd like to thank them for all of their work on this yearly. And like all the other things, budget, this keeps going. That's like never put to bed.
There's no end date.
And so tonight, if there's no, if we don't have any questions, I recommend that we approve the CONAP for spring, and we will get that submitted as well.
Do we have any comments or questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the consolidated application, 2026-2027.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Board Member Fenske, a second by Board Member Falcom. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we're moving on to 7.4, the budget. Did a lot change since last week?
Not a lot, so I'll keep it really short, but I do have to go over just a couple little pieces just so that we have it in the minutes. So we'll skip the kind of the beginning. So there's the cycle that Cliff was just talking about, because it really does just keeps going. Beth and I will take a day and pretend like it stops for a minute. Sarah and I were watching a webinar this morning, and as they pointed out to folks that are new, they reminded folks that we don't actually get certified information as to what this year's funding actually is finalized until February of next year. We'll actually know how close our numbers were for this year in February of 27, so.
Probably knew people were like in a panic.
I'm sure they probably were. The rest of us are just like, yep, good luck. So we'll keep on going. So I'm just gonna skip to this slide that is better now. So from Canva to PowerPoint and PDF, they don't like each other, and so I know nobody else was, everybody was very kind and didn't say anything. That in that presentation, it flip-flopped my 27, 28, and 28, 29 columns. Now they're back in order. But the reason I want to stop here is because just a quick update that I didn't share earlier is looking at our enrollment right now, well, as of Monday morning. Our 26-27, we are that 65-20, we're within 10 students of that number already. So by the time you guys come back and we start talking about this again, we will have reached that number. So good news there is we're already precisely wrong, which is always the case, right? We're always, the moment you push the button, it's gonna change. So how many more we will get, we don't know. But we'll start updating as soon as we know those numbers, which again, that 45-day revise will look a little bit different hopefully. So we'll keep that moving. We'll touch on, skip past all of these. And we'll jump into the multi-year, because that kind of gives you everything. So as I stated on Thursday, the current year, our ending fund balance, we're looking at 56.6 almost, our ending fund balance, which is about $1 million better than what we were looking at second interim. For 26-27, we're looking at $106.8 million worth of revenues and $107.2 in expenditures. And then $55.3 million in our ending fund balance. And then if you carry that out in one column, we're in row G, looking at ending fund balance out through 28-29 at $49.2 million. And then as we were looking at that, one of the questions that was asked last week was about the row D, the surplus or deficit, and that showing those negatives. I just wanted to reiterate that deficit piece really is due to the planned drawdowns on the restricted side of the house. So those are our grants where we already have those funds and we're spending them down over those couple of years. That deficit is not a structural deficit on the unrestricted side of the house at this point. And if that does happen, that would be a whole nother slide I would show you, that I would bring it to your attention, that we would talk about what that looks like and what the measures are we're putting in place to fix that. So that is something we are talking about in our executive leadership meetings on a regular basis on where we are with that. So we would all be strategically planning for that, which is also why we're staying conservative on that enrollment so that we don't end up in that place. So we're keeping an eye on that, watching that enrollment, projecting our staffing to come down a little bit as that enrollment drops so that we're not leaving extra staffing on the table and not being able to address those issues. So. And with that, let me go back. Again, thanking all of the teams and all the staff that have helped with our budget development process, because it is a very long process. So based on the May revise, the things that we felt safe and comfortable putting into our projections, which was the COLA, part of the special ed increase and the learning recovery true up, and not including some of the other pieces, watching our declining enrollment, adjusting our spending as we can, we are able to meet our thank you. Wow, the words just disappeared. See how bad I wanted it to be done. Our obligations for the next 2 years, and our reserve levels. So at this time, we're looking for a motion to approve the 26-27 budget. And that's it.
Just wanted to say, thank you for answering the questions about enrollment, and then I really appreciate seeing with the staffing projections, that noted a reduction in our certificated staffing due to enrollment declining in teachers, but then there was also a reflection of our classified staff increasing, and I think that might be due to special education needs. And I think that's an important piece for us as board members and community to always keep in mind that our special ed costs continue to increase because of the need for instructional assistance and one-on-one support for special education students. So I don't remember seeing that detail before, and I just really appreciate it because again, it highlights and it makes that transparency of that is a continued need for us to take into consideration. So thank you for doing that, Christina.
Yes, there was a net in the certificated as well, with the gen ed teachers and the special ed teachers as well. So we had a higher, the last time we showed it, it was a higher general education FTE decrease, but a decrease and an increase in the special ed FTEs because we are increasing classes on that side, because that piece of the enrollment is increasing while the gen ed is decreasing.
And so you and Sarah worked together, the LCAP and the budget, putting up the whole together.
It goes hand in hand.
I was reminded, I kind of forgot, but basically after this, it goes to PCOE.
Yep.
And they do another review. And that's probably Roger, I guess, right?
His team.
His team, and then before going to the state.
Yes.
And then at that point, they review at the state too, or they just send the money?
They start sending the money already.
Okay, I was just kind of curious how,
Yeah.
with all the layers of it, thanks.
They don't typically, the county, unless the county found something that they really were concerned about, the state doesn't usually find anything.
Yeah, it's usually just rubber staffing
Yeah.
as you go,
presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Somebody do that.
I miss what everyone's laughing at, I feel left out. We have a motion by board member Falcon, a second by board member Fensky, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We are now moving to 7.5, the approval of the school impact mitigation agreement.
Yes, thank you. Tonight I'm asking the board to approve a mitigation agreement between the district and Taylor Morrison of California LLC. I know the board is well aware that this development is happening south of the creek along the PFE corridor and North Antelope Road, consisting of approximately 600 homes. The district has engaged with Taylor Morrison since 2024 to get this agreement done. Taylor Morrison's been very receptive and easy to work with. And so what this means for the district is about $5.8 million that we'll be collecting in fees to help pay for the expansion at Creekview Ranch. So tonight I recommend the board approve this agreement so that we may move forward.
I had a quick question that just kind of came to me. I apologize. So a few years ago, I think I brought this up before, is I remember seeing in the plans, there's a bridge that facilitated transportation between students to the south of PFE over at Creekview Ranch. And it's not there anymore, is it?
No, my understanding that was a pedestrian bridge
Right.
that would go over to the trail, right,
Right.
from this proposed neighborhood.
A bike bridge.
We received mixed messages on actually who was supposed to build it. So initially, we believed it was the Creekview development that we're entering an agreement with. And then they said, no, it was the ranch development. And I don't think either of them are funding it. At the county level and at the developer level, we have advocated for that pedestrian bridge because then we no longer have to run a bus over on PFE because those students that go to Creekview would require busing. But if we had a pedestrian bridge, we would not. So we were advocating for it. Keep kids off of PFE, even if they're on a bus, is better. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Is there anything we could do?
I
Can we
think,
talk to the county, the supervisor of the county or anything?
I think the folks that are in charge of that trail and the trail project is where we would need to focus our efforts.
Okay. Yeah, I'd definitely like to see the bridge.
Oh, sure. So would we.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm sensing a project for you, John, this summer.
That's my project? Yeah, sure.
That'd be great.
Thank you for
We'll see
taking
what
that
we
on.
can do. Yeah, I'm serious. I will talk to people. Yeah. I guess we could approve it, can we? Can I make a motion to approve this? I make a motion to approve item, I have my glasses on, 7.5, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Approval of school impact mitigation.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by board member Fensky, a second by board member Haynes, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Moving to 7.6, the adoption of the board calendar. There's a slight change on it,
Oh, yeah.
so we're just
That's fine.
addressing that.
Yeah, we noticed when we were putting the calendar into the system for next year and everything, for some reason, these last two meetings in June ended up being Thursday and Thursday. We normally do it Thursday, Tuesday, so we're just moving up that second one from the 17th to the 15th, so we're to Thursday and Tuesday, just like this.
So we need to remember to keep that weekend available for reading materials.
Yeah, there you go, Jason.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment of the adopted calendar.
I'll second.
We have a motion by board member Fensky, second by board member Haynes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to 7.7, the memorandum, the MOU with West Ed. This is Megan.
Okay, so, we're asking the board to approve an MOU by West Ed. We have the opportunity to partner with PCOE in a research study that will improve our tier 2 processes and tools that we use to check for referrals for tier 2 services for our students. And it's just a great opportunity for us to increase our processes that we already have in place and to make sure that we are, servicing our students and that need tier 2 interventions for SEBs, social emotional behavioral interventions.
What does I know that we have a really great network to try to catch kids who are starting to exhibit concerning behaviors, and that's meant to have a trickle up process to make sure they get referred to where they need to for help. That's the tier 2 referrals. Is that like when we get to the end of what we can do as a school institution and we need to refer them to outside counseling or something? What is that?
No, tier 2 would be it at school as well. So tier 1 is every student would receive, for example, they would receive, we've talked about PBIS a lot, so they would receive all the same PBIS, or they receive all the same lessons from a program such as Second Step, something like that. And then we have some students that just aren't responding to that. They either need re-instruction or they need a different kind of support. And so every school site has a tier 2 team that they sit and they talk about some students that maybe need a little bit more, and they get a little bit more individualized instruction, not quite as individual and intense as like a tier 3 service, but it's a tier 2 team just kind of looking at interventions such as, you might have heard like check-in, check-out. That's a tier 2 intervention that almost all sites offer. It's a very common one. So counseling groups, that's another type of tier 2 intervention.
And then do we only have tier 3 on campus? Is that the highest it goes, or what is the?
Yeah, tier 3 is the highest we have on campus, and that's more like a wraparound where we're asking for like families to come in, like an SST type situation where we're bringing families, and we might at that time refer out, refer out to here's outside counseling or something, but we do what we can through tier 3 at the sites, yeah.
And that's like our the counselor level would be tier 3.
Tier 2 and tier 3, yeah, they do both.
But they would be like the facilitators of that process for tier 3. And then this is for a research study, and so is that something the rest of the county's doing as well then?
No, that's something that, so PCOE is looking at partnering with, they are partnering with different school districts, and we were asked to do it because of where we are at with one of our schools, Antelope Crossing specifically. They have a very good demographic, they have a solid administration, and already have a solid tier 2 intervention system going. And so they would like to have partnered with us specifically to see if that was one of the schools that they would like to use because of their, everything they have there, so.
And we have the only middle schools that were selected in the county to do this, so. The others either have new administrators or they're at a different level of implementation of PBIS. So when we met with the county, they specifically chose us because of our stability. They could really assess whether or not this tool is effective or not, and not worry about some of the other noise that may I guess kind of murky the waters. So we'd be the only ones in Gloucester County doing it.
So I guess that was my question, so how are the schools selected, or how would they be assigned? Because when I was reading it, there are comparison schools, or there's, were all of our schools be participating, or just one, and then,
Yeah, so, Antelope Crossing is gonna be the school that's gonna be, using the study per se with the coaching and using the Google tool. Because they have a strong tier 2 system going right now, they have the resources, they have the staff, and they have like a solid administrative team and good processes in place, so that's how, they were chosen for that. If Silverado were to do it, they would just be, they would not be testing anything, they would just be business as usual.
and then I guess another question I had was, so I know the work that's involved when you pilot a program, when a lot of times it comes with a lot of extras, surveys and training, and a lot of that was highlighted in the proposal, and I really appreciate being able to look at that. WestEd is a great organization to work with, and I really admire the work that they do. With that, how far along are staff with their participation in this? Would it be something that's, have they been brought along and asked about their or participation, because a lot of it will impact teachers, so.
Not necessarily teachers, but the administrative staff went to the webinars and they were the ones that reached out to us and said, this looks really great. I think this is something that we need for our school to move us forward with our interventions. So they were the ones at that site specifically that think this is also a good program for them to help.
Well, I have some thoughts and, I read this a number of times and I'm just gonna go over a few things that caught my eye, but one of the things that struck me was that I would rather be supporting teachers with more prep time and whatnot in order to achieve more of our academic excellence rather than committing to more mission creep, which is what I see in this. But I had a number of concerns, so if I start with page 2, looking at just how we know there's the personal identifiable information, so it's just defined that it would allow a reasonable person who does not have personal knowledge of the relevant circumstances to identify an individual with reasonable certainty. And then looking at educational records, and the educational records they would have access to, including but not limited to encompassing all material kept in the CUME file, identifying data, records of attendance, academic work, etc. So moving on to page 3, this is where I start to have some concerns. In terms of data handling and storage, reports containing aggregate level data and results may be shared with the funder of the study, members of professional associations, or published in professional association publications or scientific journals. West Ed would own the intellectual property rights to all of its pre-existing works and the original works created under the study, including without limitation data analysis, research methods, blah, blah, blah. So when I flip further through here, you learn that you've got the identifiable characteristics will be birth dates, first initial, last initial of the student, the school year. And now that I know it's at Antelope Crossing, these are, in an age of AI, I would not want that data out there. This is data collection. The other thing is, and I don't think the average person really wants to have that information out there. It would be very easy to track which child this pertained to. Not only that, them having the rights to all the data to write whatever papers they want to is a concern to me. If I continue on, then I go to Exhibit 1 on page 7. I'm looking at some of this stuff. It's in collaboration with UCSF, which I have my own concerns with, but it focuses on building school capacity for referral pathways. SEB, this is it's a newer term. I'm really familiar with SEL. Now I'm looking at what SEB means. And for what I am getting at here too is that sometimes when we look at information that's presented to us like this, there's a lot of stuff in here that lacks definition and transparency, but it has a lot of nice sounding words. And SEB is like one of those things that sounds nice, but what does it mean, not to us, to the layperson, but to the organization that is funding this, behind this? And when I look at UCSF, while I do understand that it is a respected institution to a certain extent, they do have issues that I have, that they have stances and positions that I think many people take issue with. So we're looking at how USCF is a subcontractor to West Ed and will evaluate the efficacy of pathways using a quasi-experimental research design. Data collection will include implementation and school climate data. I'm gonna just say school climate data, researching what school climate data is, that is a bit of a red flag to me. I'm not gonna go into exactly why, but it is, and I would ask people to to look into it. Then if I move on to page 8, district team can support ongoing sustainment and scale up of the work. So we're talking here, we're scaling up, moving on to the next paragraph, data being collected. The district will allow access to participating schools, the California Healthy Kids Survey in the fall and spring. Each school years, the schools are going to administer a brief student self-measure of SEB health and well-being during homeroom. So now there's more subjective analysis. We go to page 9. They're going to conduct 2 focus groups with educators, youth, and or families in treatment schools where participant names will be stored on notes and related qualitative data. These interviews will be video recorded on Zoom with appropriate parent consent. Even still, I'm not sure that I'm not comfortable with this, but it's also this last thing about this identifying student information using the student's first initial last 6 digits birth date, looking at exhibit 3, all the items that will be referred to in variables. You know, I'm looking at this and the word data was, I think, I counted 61 references to the word data. So my issue, and I realize I'm talking really fast because I just feel like it. My issue is just that I know that we all care about kids' struggles and it's really important, but I don't believe that it's our duty to just send them any form of help. Our duty is to give them the best. And participating in this study, this quasi-experimental study, I mean, there's things I don't know. What is it? Who is the provider? What do the various terms mean to them? What mental health are we actually giving to them? There's a lot of stuff in there that aren't specifics to me, but they're very vague. And it's kind of like, you know, somebody once gave me this analogy about water, about how water is really important. We all need to drink it. We all want to have it. But if I said to you, here's a glass of water, John, I want you to drink it, but it's from Flint, Michigan, would you drink the water?
No, I would not.
You would not drink the water because it's not good for you. I don't see how this is going to be great. And I've looked into West Ed and the pathways thing, and I just see this as more intrusion into the personal lives of students and families, much more than a school should. So that is my position after having read this 50 times and spending far too much time online looking at West Ed and their missions and USCF and their mission and Project Pathways and all of it. And that's all I'm gonna say.
So you're recommending a no vote on this?
That's my position.
So I saw the word SEB again also on this, and I immediately thought SEL, which is social emotional learning. And that's always kind of been kind of a red flag for me about what is the purpose of the school, where are the boundaries between parental responsibility and governmental responsibility in raising our children. And that's basically that. It's kind of a bigger issue. Whose kids are the parents' kids or the government's kids? And so when you start going into social emotional learning, sure, a lot of kids need support, we want to support them, but it just is a red flag where there's a boundary and a murkiness. And then Jean mentioned the sharing of data, which I really didn't think about, but I kind of agree with too. It just, it seems like almost like an invasion of privacy a little bit across that. So, does anybody else have any comments on
Well,
this?
can I add a clarification?
Sure.
So it was mentioned that, so if you actually go to page 11, I think it is, it shares what data they'll be collecting. So they're only collecting student IDs, they're not collecting they're not collecting any other student identifiable information. So when it referenced first name and last name, it says actually that they're not collecting that will be removed. So I know that doesn't answer all the concerns that we're sharing, but I just wanted to clarify that one.
That's not the major concern for me.
So if they're just an ID number, you can see on page 11 what they would be collecting.
I think,
I don't see it as it's being removed. Am I reading this wrong? Prior to electronic
Says specifically
transfer,
on page 9, yeah.
we'll have personally identified information, oh, it does say removed. And removed, and instead, the district will assign a code using the student's first initial, last initial, and 6-digit birth date.
so not the student.
Yeah, like the example, I guess, FL01.
I think this is getting to be, we're not to muddy the water too much. Sorry you walked into the bus stop tonight on this. Jean was the person who brought this to my awareness, and I started looking into it. And I didn't have time to talk to you guys ahead of time about it either, to see about it. Obviously, we want to have tier 1, tier 2, we want to have great interventions for all our students. I think anytime the county suggests something new that's experimental, it's a little bit concerning sometimes. Especially, I looked at the West Ed website, and I know Sacramento County Office of Education, like they've already gone much further down the road, and like right there on the West Ed website it says Sacramento County Office of Education transforming schools into centers of wellness. And that's like, I want our schools to be centers of education with well kids. I don't think it needs to be it's essentially focused on transforming all schools within the county into centers of wellness. with the prioritization of mental health professionals in every school and creation of systems where all adults can contribute to supporting a school community continuum of care. So how far do they want to go with it is the question. This seems, innocent enough. I think some of the things we do with the California Healthy Kids Survey, that's just
Not the California
we don't do
Healthy Kids Survey. We stopped doing that about, I feel like 12 years ago-ish.
Okay, well, I guess personally, I would just prefer not to go down this road because of the aforementioned concerns about how this could snowball. We had another pilot county program that they were offering us, to be part of the consortium for expanded resources, et cetera. We showed prior concern about what is this gonna mean, how far are they gonna go? It may be, it may be making a mountain out of a molehill, but out of concern for like the snowballery of the matter, it's, is this something we have to go forward with? I mean, we wanna support our middle schools with their mental health interventions for sure. But I don't know if this is gonna be really, cutting legs up from underneath any of our efforts. I guess that's my question is, what is the scale of this? I mean, it seems interesting.
There's no requirement to move forward with this.
Okay.
This is simply something that the principal brought to Megan's attention as something that they were interested in doing to improve their process for tier 2 supports, is what this is. It's using a tool for the process, but this certainly isn't something that's mandated or that you have to do or anything like that. That's why it's before the board to make a decision.
Good, like I said, I wanna affirm and continue what we have going on. I have a lot of trust with what we currently have in place. It's like anything, it's all the new stuff, you just have to help us walk through it a little bit more carefully to see. So we wanna be making sure we're supporting all our schools, but it's like associated with like Project Calwell. I don't know much about Project Calwell. A lot of stuff from the California Department of Education is involved with it, et cetera. So just like to turn over the rocks when there's some of those things that are coming down the pike to see, what's their motivation. So I know what our motivation is, but what's their motivation? So I guess personally, based on what I saw about it, I mean, not saying never, but maybe not now until we can learn more about it. So that's personally where I'm landing on it. Anybody else have any?
Yeah, I looked at it as well, and I did have questions about process questions because I didn't have a chance to talk earlier. I think it's an opportunity for our district to be innovative and to look at some different strategies. When I look at the data specifically for Antelope Crossing Middle School, I would certainly say that that is a school that would benefit from some coaching and some different strategies to look at and to use at the particular school. So I want to commend the principal and the staff for looking at for some new and innovative strategies, perhaps because what they've been doing isn't necessarily bringing the results that they would like to see. So they are reaching out and then looking at creative, and that is one of our mottos that we have as a district, that we're going to be, imaginative, creative, and innovative. I have worked extensively with WestEd and have read many of the reports. I've done studies with them through the Association for California School Administrators. They did a study with our administrative credential program with 900 administrators across the state. So I'm very familiar with how they captured data, and it was extremely confidential. And for those of you who know, the Clear Administrative Credential Program requires 20 hours of coaching, which is confidential coaching. So my team was very reluctant to release any type of data because you have new principals talking about their struggles and their challenges, and the process that we used and the way they reported the results. There was never a district, there was never a school, there was never a particular new administrator that was specifically identified. But they did use the results from our program to talk about what the best practices were, and in fact came to the conclusion that it didn't make sense to send new principals to sit in a brick and mortar building to learn how to be a principal, that in fact coaching didn't move their practice. So when this study had some examples of coaching, I thought, sometimes that is a much better approach to professional development and learning. And then just another point, I think, yes, I am a firm believer in teaching and learning in mathematics and language arts and academics being the highest priority. The schools that I was administrator at had high academic achievement successes. And I was, we were always focused on that. But I also have to realize and acknowledge and looking at all of the school data we have of our students who are, socioeconomically disadvantaged and may not have two parents that they can go home to that are gonna be home at 5 o'clock and they're gonna study and do homework with them. They may need some additional supports and resources. So our students' mental health, how they come to a classroom, whether or not they're thinking about if they have food on the table, whether or not they're thinking about if they had to put their 3 siblings to bed, whether or not they're thinking about if the lights are gonna be turned off, impacts how they learn in school. And so teachers do need those strategies and our administrators do need those strategies of how do we get that student to engage in learning so they're not chronically absent like our data is showing. And so they're not dropping out in 3rd grade because we're not even surveying our 3rd grade students to see if they like school or they feel safe or they have friends. We're waiting till 4th grade. That's too late if they're not reading by 3rd grade. So I think it is really important for us to be innovative and to look at strategies and to find out what might be some things that are preventing our students from or ways that we can help our students to receive that tier 2 intervention. Because the classroom teachers are doing everything they can in tier 1. They are doing all of their proximity, they are doing their, restating questions, and tier 2 comes that next level of help. And particularly in middle school, we do need those strategies before they get into high school. How can we provide some tier 2 support? So I do support it. I do think it is an opportunity for our district to continue to be innovative. It is an opportunity for our district to be creative, and it is an opportunity for our district to be progressive, which Dry Creek is. It does stand out among other Placer County schools. I am confident because I have worked with West Ed and I do know that, and many of the reports, if you read them, the way they're able to, it's confidential. And when you look at the information that they're looking at, it's information that we're already collecting from students. So they're not asking to see their student journals or they're not asking to see, things that could perceive anything. So those are some of my comments and overviews of this, and I am in support of looking at additional resources that support our students.
And I wanted to clarify one thing too, is that all of our school sites, including Allen Crossing, is doing this process. They're meeting in intervention teams, they're looking at students who need tier 2 SEB support because they're not meeting the needs in tier 1. So this program would be with, or this the study would be working with the school to coach them to do basically what they're already doing, but do it better using a Google tool. So just for some background, I've been working on a Google tool myself before this came through to help sites to collect some of this information for themselves so that they can better service their students. And one of the things that this program is, or I keep saying program, but one of these things that this research study is looking at is if we can get kids in and out of interventions quicker so that they're not sitting in something like a check-in, check-out intervention for 6-8 weeks. So it's looking at, can we get them out of these interventions quicker? Can we give them the support they need? Are we actually giving them the support they need? And are we doing it quickly? So this is something that will help what we're already doing do better. So that's just some background of what's already taking place as well.
Well, there's no guarantee of that. I mean, this is just, it's a quasi-experimental research design. I don't know, I'm not in favor of it.
And when I did ask, like, what's gonna be the end result? Like, what are we doing this for? And Placer County said this will become, if the research comes back favorable for this tool, that they will be implementing this as part of their tier 2 training, which we pay for our staff and our sites to go to tier 2 intervention training with PCOE. And so in effect, this will become part of that training eventually in the future.
Is this the crucial time for the on-ramp for this then? Cause it's like sign on now or sign on
We are
next.
late. Yeah, we are one of the last ones that we brought it through because we've been trying to look into it and see if it was useful. So it is now.
I know the Google, any tracking based tool that enables you to really make sure no one falls through the cracks is a really important tool. So, I think we all agree that there's needs for our students, we all wanna support those needs, so I think once again, just like what's the main goal of the whole thing? Hopefully it's as honest as it seems, so.
So I mean, it sounds like at least the majority of the board is comfortable with us participating for the variety of reasons, so then we wouldn't move forward with it, we'd let the county know, we would participate in their study. Should this study yield an effective tool where the county would then want to use it, we would then be able to use it. We wouldn't have to worry about the study or the student data, all that stuff. We would just use the tool internally. So this isn't like, you know, if we don't jump on, we're never gonna be able to do this. So it was more of an invite to participate in the study. So if the board doesn't want to move forward, that's fine. It may come back in a different way. And it won't have the same concerns because we wouldn't be at that point sharing any data with anyone about anything. It'll all just be our internal practice. So I haven't heard a motion, so.
Just one more comment, you know, sometimes it is, there's value in a staff jumping on board at something when it's new, particularly a staff that is looking for different opportunities. And so I had the opportunity to do that with the Dry Creek staff before we moved to Creekview Ranch. We were the first school one of the first few schools in the United States to use a technology embedded curriculum. And it was a challenge, it was hard, and we did have student data and things that we had to sign, we didn't use the regular curriculum. And again, through that process, the student data was not shared, I mean, but that we used it to look within the site, and the publishing company used that as well. But can I tell you that the effects from the staff when they were able to bond together over a new tool, and you can see the evidence of it, many of that staff are Creekview Ranch teachers right now. And if you look at the progress that Creekview Ranch teachers are making for socioeconomically disadvantaged students, I think a lot of it came from their opportunity to be able to bond together as a staff to use a new tool. So again, just another shout out to our teachers and our staff and our administrators who do want to sometimes try something new, and for us for me at least, to give them the encouragement to continue to look at what are maybe some new opportunities that are innovative, and to be a part of a groundbreaking thing. So just I hope, you know, that the staff and the teachers do know that I do encourage that. And again, my decisions go with the majority of the board, so we are a team, so.
John, anything else?
Well, I mean, just in general, my concern is when new companies come in or new surveys come in or anything else, it just kind of is the first step of more mission creep to going towards somewhere where we don't want to go beyond a boundary as far as the role of schools versus the role of parents, the role of government versus the role of society, I guess, and what really is appropriate for schools to do or not to do, you know? So I'm looking at it in a bit more philosophical way. So I'm always hesitant when I see social emotional learning and new programs like this. I'm always kind of hesitant to go forward with it because I look at it as a first step to another door they're getting through or something like that. And so I'm probably paranoid about it, but you know, that's kind of my position.
I guess I would like to pass for now on this opportunity. So I make a motion to not approve 7.7 MOU for this particular initiative at this juncture with West Ed for
You're gonna take a
vision
vote
and
or
project
just-
pathways.
I mean, you don't have to take a vote it down. There's no motion for it to carry forward.
It's just,
Then it just dies and you just move.
I don't think there's a motion to carry it forward.
What's that?
I don't think there's a motion to carry it
Right.
forward.
So we just move on to the next item.
Okay, let's move on to 7.8, the tentative agreement between California School Employee, the CC, and the Tri-CC. Jim?
Yes, thank you. As a culmination of negotiations between the district and CSEA, before the board tonight is a tentative agreement that spans 3 years, including this year, because we had not settled CSEA for this year. It includes 26-27 and 27-28. both with compensation agreements and also some minor language adjustments to the contract, including the language surrounding employee orientation, holidays, bringing it up to state law, and some wording in the non-discrimination clause to bring that up to date. Recommend the board approve this tentative agreement that's already been ratified by CSEA.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as stated in item 7.8.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Fenske and a second by Board Member Haynes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We are now at 7.9. Also with Jim,
Yes.
confidential employees.
Yes. So commensurate with the compensation levels in the CSEA agreement before the board, and actually for the next 3 items, this item and the next 2 items are compensation agreements that are equivalent with each other for non-represented groups. So this first one is for our confidential employees. And again, it's the same compensation levels as what the board just approved for the second 2 years of the CSEA agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as stated in 7.9.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Board Member Fenske, a second by Board Member Balcom, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Going to the next one.
So this would be the same agreement, except for this one is for our campus supervisors.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as stated in 7.10.
I'll second.
Motion by Board Member Fenske, second by Board Member Haynes, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We're going to 7-11.
All right, this is again very familiar. So this is the same 2-year agreement for another non-represented group, our classified and certificated management employees. So it's the same terms as the other ones.
And I'll make a motion to agree with to approve the agreement as stated in item 7.11.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Board Member Fenske, second by Board Member Balcom, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Going to 7-12, this is the approval of the agreement addendums for the Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services, the Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services, and the Chief Business Officer. Annually, the board considers extending the term length of the employment agreements for those mentioned positions. Upon approval, the employment agreement shall be extended by an additional year and will take effect on July 1st, and the terms of salary have been updated to reflect the approved salary increases.
So same terms as everyone else. And then the contract extensions. So Jim and Sarah's position, they're on 4-year contracts. Christy is on a 3-year, so attached here is an addendum to their contracts to extend their contracts an additional year. So I think that's to 2029 for Christy and 2030 for Jim and Sarah, and then their salary schedules are reflected here, updated based on these same terms with all the other employee groups so far.
I believe we do this every year, don't we? Where we
Yes.
extend another year.
Annually.
Annually, yeah. Oh, annually, there it says, yeah. I'll make a motion to approve 7.12.
I'll second.
Motion by Board Member Fenske, second by Board Member Haynes, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
So everyone will be here until 2030 then, at least? That's what it means, Cliff?
Unless they decide not to be.
Yeah, this means you guys are
Unless they
starting.
retire or move.
At least, it's a promise that no one's leaving the meeting. Yeah.
Okay, last action item, 7.13, the approval of employment agreement addendums for the superintendent. Would you like me to read this?
I mean, if you want,
Well,
or I can present my own. A little weird that way, but.
That's why you read Gene.
Or I can talk about it too, I guess.
Would you like to talk about it, John? Well, so
Sure.
just in general terms, the board is considering extending the term length of the employment agreements for the superintendent. Upon approval, the employment agreement will be extended by an additional year and take effect on July 1st, and the
Yeah, so
terms
the
for salary
the
going
retroactive,
back,
right.
retroactive to July 1st.
Right, and in November 7, 2024, we did approve for the superintendent to have this increase. This was not included in the contract that I negotiated with Cliff, but I met with Cliff and during contracting negotiations, there's so many things going on, and I just wanted to get it signed, and I agreed with him. I said, "Well, we probably forgot something, but we can renegotiate or address it later, just sign it, let's get going," you know what I mean? And so this is one of those items, and so I think we should go ahead and approve it.
Okay.
It's only fair, actually. So I'll make a motion to approve item 7.13.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by board member Fensky, second by board member Balcom, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Last thing is an information item on the local dashboard indicators. Hello, Sarah.
I told you it doesn't go away, it just keeps going. Okay, so this is the last piece of what I would call the LCAP as a whole and the items that we're responsible for. These are the local indicators, so we know that there's the state indicators where they give us the information that they want to collect, and then they leave it up to us with the guidance of a rubric that tells you what you need to do to determine whether or not you've met the local indicators. So the local indicators you could see in the packet, and then here are the implementation of the state academic standards, a parent engagement indicator, their school climate indicator, access to the broad course of study, and we use the self-reflection tools provided by the state for those items. We use a team to determine whether or not we've met these indicators, including for the parent engagement rubric. We actually do that at every school site with the staff, the ELAC, and the site council. And so we get a good broad reflection of how our parents are feeling in the district. And so tonight we present the local indicator packet with all standards met. Upon embarking into tomorrow, just like with the LCAP, these items have to be uploaded to the California dashboard as part of reflecting our scores. So these will be uploaded, I think I have to do it in September, and then the new dashboard items are supposed to come out in October this year. Supposed to be sooner than later, but these will be uploaded as standard met. And that's all we have to do for this, which is weird because you have to get the other ones approved, but these are just an information item.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I think, yeah, I see that 4 means full implementation, 5 means full implementation and sustainability.
Yes.
I
There's a couple items marked for standards because,
just because of sustainability, it's like, how do you,
well, some of the standards are very old, so we feel like, are we implementing full implementation and sustainability when they're super old, or there hasn't been a new framework or adoption for those in a long time, and so we just reflected that, I mean, we're hitting the standards, but are they the most updated, and is the curriculum most updated? And that's why we marked 4 on those. And then you see the NA, and that's for CTE and world language. And that is because that's actually more reflected for high school. And for a couple of years, they had us also fill that out, but they more recently changed that because we aren't holding a specific course for that, even though we do our project lead the way and things like that.
the only reason I brought it up is because I thought parental communication was very good this year. So I thought the events that were put on, the FBI night was really well attended. Just, I don't know what part of the rubric that falls under, also the other
Oh, the parent engagement one.
the parent nights,
Yes.
just on, you know.
Yeah, that's local indicator 3.
Yeah, anyway, but I just thought that was a good year for that, so good job to Megan and your team and everybody in promoting it really well. I mean, to see people fill up a gym on a weeknight
Right.
to talk about any topic is really challenging
Yes.
regardless of what forum you're in.
Agree.
And so it's really cool to see that we're making a dent and helping get really interesting and relevant information to parents about the safety and well-being of their kids. kids and how they can do a good job, so. Anyway, I also appreciated the sexual standards that were, or the transparency about the sex ed health curriculum. I thought that was another example of above and beyond effort to try to make parental communication as great as possible, so. I give you guys all fives in those areas, so.
We're working on additional parent engagement and events for next year. Katie and Megan are working on some specific ones, and then we're working on a couple of special education ones also to support our special education parents.
Oh, that's great.
Good, well, way to end on a high note.
I just wanted to, add to that as well, you know, Sarah, great job on all of that, and Megan as well with the parent engagement and, you know, doing the self-reflection is always so tough to do. And I do look forward, as does Ryan, to, you know, additional opportunities for us to engage our families and our students. And then to, you know, I'm just gonna go back to what I said earlier, to also look at, you know, different maybe innovative ways or different ways that we can get feedback from our families, because if, you know, we do have only a certain percentage of parents that are responding to it, do we know if that's reaching our socioeconomically disadvantaged families or English language learners, or is it reaching the families of students that are chronically absent? Maybe, you know, there are some additional strategies, and you do discuss some of those in here with doing the interviews and stuff, so I just think that's really exciting, because as a board, we did want to have two-way communication as part of one of our goals, and making sure that we're hearing from the community, we're getting input from the community. So, you know, like Ryan, I do appreciate all the hard work towards that, and look forward to some, you know, continuing the efforts that have started this year, and then also seeing what's gonna be in store for next year.
Maybe like board member house calls. There we go. As long as we'll be campaigning anyway, we might as well have a good conversation for the kids, so.
Well, you know, just a quick comment, the videos that Dry Creek puts together are just fantastic. I think it's the next step up, and that's a great, we can expand that even more to reach out to parents and encourage them for participating.
Yeah,
It
we
seems to me that we've had greater participation.
Right, we actually
It's-
have
Yeah,
a Parent Academy webpage where we do have the instructional videos for the parents. So if, say, a parent wanted to know more about our SSTs, which are Student Success Team meetings, or if they've been invited to one, there's a video on our webpage that talks about what that is and how to participate and what to expect and those types of things. And there's some other topics on there as well. And we added those so that parents could feel more ready and more
great.
knowledgeable about how to participate at school, because that's one of our goals and one of the requirements for engagement is to ensure that our parents are equipped to participate and feel valued in that participation. And so we try to make sure that they're educated about the things that we're going to be discussing or asking them to attend.
Did I see as well, in some of the mini papers that we do a multilingual parent newsletter as well?
All of our information that's sent out on Parent Square can be translated into the language that's chosen. Do you wanna expand on that, Renee?
Yeah, so through Parent Square, when parents register for their account, they have their chosen language. So it ensures that when they're receiving the information such as our newsletters or newsletters from our sites, that it is in their preferred language. So going forward, there's a big push to make everything ADA compliant, because if our content is not ADA compliant, that information can't be translated to our families. So that is something that we've also been working on.
Like, does that mean for hearing and vision impaired?
Mhm.
Okay, so, interesting.
And in addition to that, we do translate a lot of documents into our top languages or specific top languages at a school site, even though we're not required to until we reach 15% of that language within our population as a district. But we do translate things quite frequently and try all sorts of ways to reach our English learner families.
I'm impressed that you know that many languages, Sarah, good job.
Yes, right off the top of my head, I can whip those things out so quickly.
Thank you.
It seems to me that attendance by parents to these different events has gotten better over the last few years.
Yes,
As far as
this year,
yeah.
typically when it's an engagement event, such as the ones that we were having more recently,
Right.
and it's something that they can connect with because of something they want to connect with for their students or their learning and things like that, we typically have a higher rate of attendance. When we have meetings, like at the district level or ask everyone to come here, typically the attendance is a little lower. Like if it's a, you know, I mean, the meeting is boring compared to a nice event like Megan has hosted the last couple of times.
Right.
But we have tried to get away from holding the meetings here, and to get parent engagement at the site level. So having them in a regional location for that area. So for example, for our Antelope families, instead of inviting here, we might hold it at Barrett Ranch one evening or one morning, and then maybe at Crossing one evening or one morning. And so everyone from Antelope could go to one of the Antelope schools instead of having to come here. Sometimes when it's in your own neighborhood, it's more comfortable, number one, and more accessible. When you're running kids around to practices and all the things, you know, you can zip over to your own school real quick. Those kinds of things.
So as far as communication between district and community, that's one of the main avenues we use are the videos on Facebook and Instagram, that kind of stuff. Do you have any idea what percentage of, I don't know how many families there are, it's here like 10,000 families or whatever, or not even that many, probably 5,000 families. But do you have any idea about how much engagement or how many people see those videos?
Yeah, I was asked this question actually recently this week. For example, a lot of our views are on our social media pages with those videos. One video you may recall is a story that we highlighted with Miss Mellon at Silverado Middle School and ensuring that band is accessible for all students. That video alone has about, I wanna say, 31,000 likes and over
So
21,000 shares. That's not to include how many other people are also sharing that. So, and that's just one platform.
So that's really impressive, and so
Yes.
that's what I was getting to.
Didn't you say it was about 330,000 views?
Yeah.
31,000.
Can you pull it up and see, Michelle? Actually, Michelle could
I
probably.
think that's likes and shares, but I think views is pretty high.
We have a lot of views on our videos that we
So-
share.
And so I was thinking, let's say we have an FBI safety night or something, right? We could have, like a couple days before, Renee could go to wherever that event is and stand outside and kind of sell it, you know, like being up at,
Like back in the old
like
days.
being driving Blue Canyon or whatever.
We call it the
It's
redeem
starting to snow out
factor.
here. But I mean, because that seems to be the most prevalent way of meeting, or the most accessible way to meet the public, and you're very good at it. And you're professional at it, obviously, and love your camera angles and everything else, but I think that could really be an effective tool, just throwing an idea out there. Maybe have Cliff say, well, maybe that might,
Probably not Cliff.
no, that might be a negative, yeah, but if you do it.
Hey.
I'm
I can do
joking,
it.
it's late at night, I'm totally kidding, but that would, I just throwing that idea out there, I think that would help, you'd have so many people seeing it. And you could have maybe, I mean, you could make a little story about safety and, you know, kind of, but you could do that about all sorts of things, you know, special education, everything, you know.
Absolutely.
And I would
Yes.
encourage that, or encourage the consideration of that if that's possible.
I'm sure your list is pretty short at this juncture, Renee, so.
I'm always flowing with ways to share information with our community, especially with the videos that Michelle and we really enjoy putting together. We do see huge engagement with all of our videos.
Amazing numbers, that's great.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I like seeing your creative process, because it's not like everybody else.
Yeah, and she has actually like a view camera angle at the ground level, and she does this. I love the one you did with the custodian over at Favorite Joke.
Yes,
That was great.
with Angel.
Yeah, he was totally surprised by it. That's wonderful, so I watch him.
If you watch enough of the videos, you might be able to pick up, there's a secret sauce. So when Renee interviews people, she listens for keywords, and then she'll use that keyword in the transition. And if she has video of what they say, you usually see that spliced into. But I think this, we can talk about this all night.
Yeah.
But I do think there are opportunities for us to increase parent response. We have been seeing an increase in parent engagement even at our schools with some of our more low socioeconomic demographics. I've been to a few events and they have good turnouts. So it's potentially a matter of leveraging those opportunities. When my kids went to elementary school, oftentimes they would do that while we were at an event. They would kind of take the opportunity and have us complete a survey or something like that. So we're definitely getting numbers showing up, so that's just another way we could potentially gain feedback in addition to the other things that we're doing, cause that's a live captive audience, so.
It seems like that's more accessible or more watched or more influential than, let's say, emails.
Oh, I think so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because people
People
see
don't
that, people are like, I don't, does it go on TikTok too or anything like that?
So we actually noticed that with our Parent Square newsletters, we do upload all the videos that we create into our newsletters. However, the engagement is, I would say, 10 times higher on the actual social media platform versus our newsletter.
So you're on Facebook and Instagram, I guess, those two?
Correct.
And I don't know much about TikTok, but I thought
We are
for
not
sure
on
that it's-
TikTok.
Yeah, you don't wanna do, okay. That's really impressive though, really impressive.
I'm trying to find it, that,
Okay,
it's like the
how long does
services.
it take you to do
right
an
now.
average video? Like time, like you film it and you're putting it together, how much time is invested?
That's kind of hard to say because I kind of work oddly quickly. But I would say
You're efficient, we're not gonna mark you down for efficiency.
I would say between gathering, so brainstorming the story idea, gathering dates for recording, actually recording, then listening back, going through all our video. I would say it could take about, that whole process with it already in place could take about 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, it's pretty time consuming, but
And you
I
do
think
a couple a
it
week,
should.
right, I think,
We do a lot.
yeah.
So my first year, we did over 50 videos. This
That's
year,
once a week, wow.
I can't remember, but I know we did more, significantly more, and I didn't even realize that we
Do
had.
you have any idea how many, the video outreach of other districts like Roseville City or Roseville Joint? I haven't seen anything from Roseville Joint.
We
Very
are,
little.
I don't like to toot my own horn, but
Please do, no. It's okay.
we put out amazing content, and we're probably one of the only in our area that's putting it out as often as we are
Right,
and as frequently.
it's awesome.
You should
Yeah,
get
it's
some
good.
national awards and present on that topic. Oh wait.
I just
yeah,
did.
that's right, that's right, yeah.
I just did.
I would imagine though, it's the editing process that's the most time consuming.
It is,
Yeah.
it is, it is.
So I'm not going into that field.
I'd
just
have
so
to
you know.
give them that, I can't get the service to get it on here. But I could get you the numbers later if you want.
Or if you
Oh,
wanna
I'll
just
just
grab,
watch one.
if
That's
you
really
wanna
cool.
grab my work phone in my bag, you have to be logged in, it tells you, but the numbers, the analytics they are amazing.
So you said 31,000, but I heard something even higher than that.
So it depends, so
Depends on the
likes and shares. So if you break down all the numbers, the amount of times people are viewing the video, the amount of times that video is being liked, and then the amount of times that video is being shared,
That's one video.
one video.
And there's 7,000 students here.
Yes,
So
we've
let's say
had
there's 7,000 parents, or I don't know how many parents there are, 5,000, whatever.
About 5,500 families, I
There's
believe.
5,500 families.
We've had
So-
we've had colleges contact us asking to share some of the stories that we've done
So
because of the
When I
reach.
met with Renee, she did a great presentation, so I asked her some questions about her department and she did a great presentation. Perhaps that's something for a future board meeting, an informational item she could share with us, her videos and the.
And so just to be clear, Renee was included in the
Good idea.
contract negotiation approvals tonight, right?
No, she's not on the contract.
No.
She's not in-
Well, she's
No, I'm not.
on
Wasn't
one
on
of the
this
salary
one, so
schedules that
that's
got
fine.
increased, but she's not on the contract.
Oh, no, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did she get a salary increase? Yes, you approved a salary.
My phone is
That's
So
what you're asking.
we,
that first I found it, the
my only
bag
point is I
said-
don't want to lose Renee.
I have one more thing for the
Renee,
suggestion.
don't get a
I-
job elsewhere, okay? That's
I
all
love
gotta
it
say.
here.
Okay, good.
Trust,
Don't go to
this is
PCO
home. My
everywhere.
family attended this district. My sister-in-law went to Heritage Oak. My 2 nieces go to Heritage Oak.
Really? Oh,
I
wow.
was like the kid in the candy store when I was offered the job here. I was kind of, in shock. So
That's so
I don't have any
neat.
plans to go anywhere, and I hope you keep me.
Good.
Yeah, no, I'm sad.
You heard it first here, people online. No one can touch our.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
are we done or we
I will
still
say
doing-
one thing for a public service announcement for next year is that I know a lot of parents that were involved in the classroom this year had a really good time. I think my wife might have used like 90 reams of paper or something like that in the copier at one of their school sites. So for any teachers that want help even into the middle school level, I think all they have to do is ask, and they could have some pretty amazing copier help and folks if they were interested in it.
I have other ideas
So.
too, we could shoot them over to
We're
Renee.
good. Honestly,
About
John,
parking and
no one's banged the gavel yet, so I'm just kidding. So anyway, but yeah, looking for lots of great opportunities for volunteers for next year and a lot of eager folks to do it. It's good.
But in the meantime, let's
Excited about
take
the
a break.
videos and everyone have a great summer.
Yay.
Yes, let's have a nice break. Okay, are we good?
Yep.
All right, so we're adjourning the meeting at 8:14. We will see you August 13th.
August 13th.